guys, it's Amy here, and today I bring you my September wrap-up. I feel like September was a bit of a rubbish reading month for me. Although I read 9 things, they're all like quite small, or ones that I'd read before, or like a comic book, and so I just don't feel like there was much substantial stuff. But either way, I've got 9 books here to talk to you about, so let's jump in. So to kick things off, I have 2 volumes of a comic series that I've been reading, volumes 4 and 5 of Saga. You may have seen these in my recent book haul. I'm starting with my lowest star rating and working up to my highest star rating, as I usually do with these videos, and these ones I gave 3 stars to. I just thought that these ones were okay. I don't think they packed quite the same punch as the previous volumes. I really liked the last one, and so I just didn't think I could give it much more than 3 stars. I enjoyed them, but I just didn't like that. There's not really much memorable that happened inside them, or anything kind of like worthy, gasp worthy. I will definitely continue on with this series though, because I have heard from other people that there is a bit of a lull with these ones, and then it picks up again with like 6 and 7, so we'll have to see. I don't think my bank balance can afford many more of these though for a while, so I will have to hold off on that, or maybe pop to the library. Next to the 3 stars we have Jezebel's Daughter by Wilkie Collins. This one is probably my least favourite Wilkie Collins that I've read so far. I thought this one was good. I did enjoy reading it. I just had the same issue with this one as I did with The Lady Audley's Secret, where like there was no secret as to what was going on. Like, it was very obvious what was happening and kind of where the story was going. At least it was to me. I just feel like the clue was in the name of the title, and like the whole way along I was like, is there gonna be something like surprising happening? Like, is something strange gonna happen? And no, it didn't really. This primarily focuses on the relationship between a mother and daughter, and how far the mother is kind of prepared to go to secure her daughter's future and kind of marriage in life, and the kind of awful things she's prepared to do to secure her daughter's marriage. There's tragedy, there's murder, like very much a gothic vibe. It was a fun read, and the characters were fun to read, as they are usually with Wilkie Collins. I just, yeah, wished that it was more of a secret as to what was going on, and more of a reveal at the end. Like, I do like a good reveal, but yeah, so it was 3 star from me. Moving on to my 4 star reads, the first one I want to talk about is the Gustav Sonata by Tremain. This one was really good. I really enjoyed it. I read it right near the beginning of the month. It follows the lives of these 2 young boys as they kind of meet in school. They live in Switzerland, and kind of where their lives go from there, and how they grow and change as people, and it's just, it was so beautiful. The writing was just so kind of encapsulating. It was fantastic. The 2 boys come from such different backgrounds, and these kind of clash in different ways throughout the book. It was so deeply moving in parts, and kind of tragic, and so sad. It definitely pulled on the heartstrings at certain points. It was beautifully told. As you could probably guess from the title of the book, there is a big theme of kind of music, and one of these boys plays the piano, and just how that is kind of woven through the story is just beautiful. It's really, really, really beautiful. I would highly recommend it. The second 4-star read I have here is The Carhullan Army by Sarah Hall. I really didn't know what to expect with this one, and it really pleasantly surprised me. I really, really enjoyed reading it. In fact, it was one that I kept thinking about when I wasn't reading it, and that's always a good sign for me. So this one follows a young, unnamed woman, and we are kind of in a not so distant future where the collapse of the entire world has kind of happened, and the government is really taking control of everything and everyone, and everyone's living in these kind of big kind of communal areas together. It's just a really horrendous place to live, basically. All of the women, including kind of children and the elderly, have been forced to have the coil fitted so that they're no longer able to have children, because the government are claiming that there's not enough kind of resources to go around, so they can't kind of let people have children, and there's like a lottery for if you want to have children, then you can go into the lottery. So we begin the story with that as kind of the scene, and this woman wants out, basically, and we never find out her name. She just leaves this community and kind of goes in search of this place called Carhullan. So ever since she was a young girl, she heard of this place called Carhullan, which was run by this huge group of women who have taken themselves completely away from the rest of society, and they live up on this huge kind of mountainside, and they're completely self-contained, got their own kind of crops and livestock, and they completely look after themselves, and they don't need anyone or anything, and no men, basically. And so that is the story. The writing in this book is phenomenal. Like, it doesn't surprise me that it won a prize, because it really sucked me in. There wasn't much dialogue. You're very much in this woman's head the whole time, and you like, it's just so clever, because it is almost playing on ideas of like a cult-like activity, because these women you know, they've been taken away and they're living away from society for such a long time that like that is the feeling of it. She arrives in this place and it's kind of like this cult, and the way her mind changes throughout the novel and where she ends up at the end is just so good. Obviously it shares so many fantastic ideas on sexism and feminism and like how the collapse of the world could happen, and like women, just all of these things. It was just so cleverly done. Like I want to read it again right now. There were definitely parts that were quite disturbing in regards to torture and things like that, so if you're not a big fan of those kind of things, like possibly be wary if you're going to read this one. But yeah, really, really great. So 4 stars from me. And now we have 4 books that I gave 5 stars to, which I feel is a first on this channel because that's a lot of books to give 5 stars to, but I feel like I'm somewhat cheating because the first 2 I have here are actually rereads for me, and I knew I was going to give them 5 stars because I bloody love them. And those are The Northern Lights and The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman. This is the first 2 books in the His Dark Materials trilogy. Bloody love them, they're so good. And I'm hoping to finish up The Amber Spyglass pretty soon so that I can read The Book of Dust when it comes out later this month. I can't wait. I'm not going to go into what these ones are about because I've already made a video on this channel and on Penguin Platform's channel talking all about His Dark Materials, so if you want to hear my thoughts on them then I will leave those videos linked down below. Just know that they're one of the best fantasy trilogies I've ever read. They're one of my favourite series ever since I was a child, and I would highly recommend everyone read them. They are really, really, really good. Next we have one that I'm pretty sure I haven't even shown on the channel yet. I shared it on Instagram, but I haven't done it in a book haul or anything, so how exciting. This one is a poetry collection by Carhullan Duffy and it's called Rapture. This was brilliant. This, I think, has to be the best poetry collection I've ever read, and I think it's just because I read it at the most perfect time in my life, I guess. That sounded so lame, but I guess like that's what I'm going with. A quote on the back here says, "Read this book if you are in love, out of love, or waiting for love to come along." My love life has been a bit all over the place recently, and this book was just fantastic. A poem in this book made me cry. That has never happened before. I've never read a poem and had it make me cry before, and there was one in here that connected so deeply with something that had like it was a memory, well, it was a memory of a dream that I had years ago, and it reminded me so much of that. I just burst into tears. That's how much it affected me. It was just fantastic, and I know it's one that I will want to read again, which often, again, I don't have with poetry. I don't feel like I read poetry and then want to read it again and again and again, but this was just wonderful. Again, that quote, it says, you know, if you're in love, out of love, or waiting for love to come along, it literally applies to everyone. There's something for everyone. There's like ideas on grief and losing people and everything. Like, it's just, it was so good. I studied Carhullan Duffy in school, but only very briefly, and so this was such a pleasant surprise to come across this. I just picked it up in Waterstones and just read like the first one, and it really like hit me, just like that first poem, and so I decided to pick it up, and I'm so glad that I did. I definitely want to pick up more from Carhullan Duffy soon, so if you have any recommendations for what I should pick up next, let me know down below. And my final 5-star read for the month goes to The Book Collector by Alice Thompson. This one, again, was another book which took me by surprise because I did not expect to love it as much as I did. It's weird. It's weird, and usually weird books like this freak me out a bit and I don't like them, but this was kind of the perfect amount of weirdness, which was good, I guess, for me, because I gave it 5 stars. This one follows a younger woman who kind of falls in love with this older gentleman. He's very mysterious, he's quite odd, and she kind of falls for him and she marries him, and he then moves her into his kind of grand, stately home in the country. She learns that his previous wife died during childbirth along with the child as well, and so he has a lot of his own issues, and the whole time you just get this really like weird vibe from this guy. And then she hears that women are going missing from the local asylum, and I don't want to say any more than that. It is such a deeply disturbing and weird and dark and gruesome read. Like, it's one that really kind of can put your teeth on edge a bit, like it did for me anyway. Like, I'm not big on like weird and slightly horror-esque books. Like, I would say this is as scary as it gets for me, and it wasn't even really that scary. The ideas that it shares on kind of mental health and women, and how like back in the day, like, you know, a husband could literally just be like, nah, my wife's crazy, put her in the asylum and just like send her off and just do whatever he wanted with a mistress or whatever, and how like women would just literally just convinced that they were crazy, and that, like, it reminded me somewhat of the film Changeling with Angelina Jolie in. That is one of my favourite films of all time. It's fantastic, and this woman is almost convinced, like, by men that she is crazy, and she knows she's not. And that's kind of what this is like, and this is just so, so good. If you like gothic reads and if you like things that specifically explore like women's mental health and kind of asylums and things like that, then I think you would really, really love this one. I would highly, highly recommend. There we are, those are all the books that I read in September. I'd love to hear if you read any of these and what you thought of them. What did you read in September? Come and chat to me down below. As always, I will leave links to Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, everything I've mentioned today down below. I hope you're all having a fantastic day and I will see you soon. Bye!